I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully is disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little bro, man. And I'ma tell him why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset.
Maize and Blue Nation, it's Tom Brady. I co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. That's why I'm excited to announce the release of a new app that recognizes the biggest Michigan fans. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best Michigan content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards for diehard Wolverines, all for doing the things you already do, like listening to this podcast. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Rewarding Fans and download today.
Good evening, good people. It is I, the Maize Madman, reporting live from Michigan's CIA satellite office, because that is obviously Michigan has access to counterintelligence and espionage unknown to mankind. Someone actually said that, by the way. There's someone out there who writes for a prominent publication that said that Michigan was performing an espionage unknown to the college football world, basically ever. But I digress. Let's get to some of your comments already. I see some of them already. These thumbnails are right. I do what I can do when I can do it. Shout out to you, Yellow. Man, let's get this natty. Basically, the only thing that would justify us in the eyes of many is getting this natty. By the way, the only thing that justifies us to us is getting this natty. Michigan's clearly the best team in college football. Let's not lose sight of that. My guy, Dooney Don, what's going on, sir? Jamie Ho, go blue, always. It's always go blue. I got it up here somewhere. Go blue. Sly, go blue, of course. Haters. Shout out to my guy, Antoine, who's also the moderator of the Maize Madman channel. Make sure you show him some love. Follow him on Twitter at Antoine Johnson. H-O-I, oh, man. You almost got me. You almost got me to say it. I didn't do it, though. Harbaugh is like Trump, saying stuff is fake news, even though it's true. The Wall Street Journal is a very reliable source. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Ryan, I'm disappointed in you, Ryan. The Wall Street Journal, by the way, is a reliable source for some things. Let's not act like, you know what, it's too early for me to be upset. I'm upset. I'm not going there yet. They hating? Of course they hating. There's nothing else to do. What's good? Killer. If this turns out to be faker than it, I am not saying that. But yes, I'm upset. Do you ever ask, why do they look the best? Maybe knowing what your opponent is doing. One big Bucks fan, I think I explained this to you before. Let's say Michigan knows every Ohio State call, every one of them. Like, I don't want to, because I feel like I got to do this as rudimentary as possible for some people. Michigan knows everything possible that the other state can do, right? But they still have to understand this in real time, with a play clock running down, with the game clock going, all of that, players in the opposing stadium yelling, or even in your own stadium, the noise, they still have to look across the field, get the sign, right? That means bye-bye Ohio State haters, by the way. Get the sign. Somebody relays that to an offensive, defensive coordinator, whoever it may be. They then relay that to the players on the field, who then, it's probably like one or two players that are getting it, that then have to disseminate that. By the way, they had to disseminate that code, right? They had to break it down. What does that mean? All of that. then give it to children basically on the field. And I know some of these guys are grown, but this is high level football. They're giving it to them on the field in real time, by the way, play clock, all that's going down. And then they have to go and execute the defense or offense that is counter to the play that they just disseminated every time. You understand the odds of that are, man, math sometimes just doesn't math for some of us. I get it. The other state's your team. You're supposed to feel this way about them. Feel that way. It's cool. But November 25th, remember what I told you. When you're watching the other state getting the doors blown off, you remember what I told you, and then and then justify it by saying, "Oh yeah, they're definitely, these guys are master manipulators of time and all of that." Whatever. Do whatever makes you feel good at night. Georgia beat that ass, even with y'all cheating. Love when Kirby Smart was asked about this stuff and he said nothing about that game against them. Memorable to make me think they were cheating. Cool story, bro. This, by the way, Wicked Bronco Productions is a Notre Dame fan. All right, enough said. They know we coming for sure. Pause, by the way. But yes, Ohio State is going to lose. Big Ten has been trading signals. It's ridiculous. I love the fact that real NFL people are sticking up for Jimmy. I love that. I love the fact it's a bunch of coaches all over across the landscape, college, NFL, high school, anybody who knows anything about anything. It's very simple. If you know it's a pass, the linebacker puts the defense in a pass defense. If you know it's a run, you stack the box. This is kindergarten knowledge. Oh my God. I'm done. I'm done, by the way, responding to this ignorance. We'll refund the Bucks 2 touchdowns apiece for the last 2 games. That's compensation. I like it. All right, I can't, obviously I'll come back to the comments, but we do have some things to talk about. Let's talk about them. I was gonna start right off the bat with the rumors of the rescinding contract, but I'll wait a second for that. Let's get to the week in the Big Ten week in review. All right. Penn State struggled. We have to play Penn State in a couple of weeks. The other state struggled. They have to come to Ann Arbor on the 25th of next month. Bottom line is, neither of those teams looks like they can beat Michigan, and it's not even close. All right. What the other state has that Penn State doesn't have, though, is offense with a pulse. All right. And they have a playmaker in Marvin Harrison Jr., who may be the best at his position in all of college football. He's a surefire top 5 pick next year. That's it. If Marvin Harrison doesn't beat Michigan, then the other state can't beat Michigan. And the odds of Marvin Harrison being able to do that by himself are very low. I give them a 0.8 chance of beating Michigan, and I'm not joking. As far as Penn State goes, I really don't even, I don't even want to waste my time on this one. They're not good. James Franklin has done a job there. Good is arguable. He's done something, but unless they want to keep coming in third, and now with new teams coming, USC, Oregon, Washington, if he wants to be fighting for third place, be my guest. And that's where Penn State is at this point in time. Lil Bronim lost again. Shocker, by the way. This time to Minnesota, who just might be the class of the Big Ten West. But you know what we did to the class of the Big Ten West? We had the class of the Big Ten West coach calling Michigan the greatest team he's ever played against. So there's that. What else happened? I think whatever else happened. It doesn't really matter, right? The point is, of the big 3, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan looks like the clear best team in the conference. What that is going to mean tomorrow, and by tomorrow I mean, of course, they do the first college football playoff ranking is tomorrow. So we'll know exactly where Michigan stands, where the other state stands, where Georgia stands, likely Florida State. Those are the top four that I'm picking. Of course, Washington may be in there. They probably have the best win right now, other than the other state, although I think um, Washington's win is a little better. But as an overall resume, the other state has the best resume of those teams. I'm not going to deny that. They have beaten Notre Dame. No matter what Notre Dame did afterwards, they beat them in South Bend. By the way, they beat them, and they beat Penn State. All right. Now, granted, the Penn State was a home game, and neither team looked particularly good, but they won the game. So there's that. Then you have Florida State, who I would say probably has the second best resume, as they've beaten LSU, who looks really good at times, but they can't stop a nosebleed. And they've beaten Clemson, who doesn't look so good, but they're a name brand. They beat somebody else that was ranked, Duke. They beat Duke. So, they have the second best resume, I suppose. Other than that, though, Georgia beat a ranked at the time Kentucky team, beat the brakes off of them. Georgia just destroyed Florida. It looks like Georgia plays the teams they want to play. So it's hard to really gauge Georgia. But even with all of that, Michigan, I think, has an upper hand. But I digress on that. Right now, Michigan has the worst resume of those four teams. No doubt about it, but it doesn't matter to me. They can rank Michigan where they want to rank Michigan, and I don't expect Michigan to be the top-ranked team tomorrow. If they rank Michigan fourth, for the reasons I just gave, could see it. I wouldn't be exactly happy about it, but I could see it. Either way, Michigan's business is in front of them. They still have to beat Penn State. They still have to beat Ohio State. So there's that. And once those things are done, there's no question. So I'll take a couple more comments, and then we'll get back to regularly scheduled programming. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel viewers. Blah, 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 blah. Views, chatbots, price. Ayo, no. Blitz McCord. He has terrible feet and zero scrambling ability. Michigan's tight ends will have a massive mismatch against Ohio State linebackers. Yes, I agree with this 1,000%. Honda McCord looks like a 1987 Honda McCord with 700,000 miles on it that has been kept in your uncle's garage now for 5 years. The tires are flat. They're dry rotting. Kyle McCord is not who the other state thought he was. By the way, some of them were saying he was better than CJ Stroud. No way. No way. Don't do that, Phil. What did I do to you? What did I do to you? Let me know what I did to you, and then I'll do it again. What if we beat Ohio State? Would they cry to the NCAA because we beat them? I'm sure they would. They would. We know they would. I don't know what the excuse would be this time, but I'm sure they would cry 1,000%. One Big Bucks fan has something else to say. 100% worse than tattoos, and we got rocked for that. The fall is going to be glorious, and when it happens, I'll be camping on your channel. I mean, you've been saying that. You've been saying the fall is going to be glorious. I've seen you say it. Cool story, bro. We're waiting for the fall too, so I don't know. Got my dad and I tickets to PSU game. We were worried to start, but it's going to be an amazing game to watch as a U of M fan. Yeah, man. I got to be honest. At the beginning of the season, I thought that game was going to be Michigan's toughest game. It still might, because it still might. I'm just going to say that. We are playing in Beaver Stadium. It is in Happy Valley. So all of that, but I am not worried about Drew Aller. I thought Drew Aller was going to be better than he is, and he still may be he has the potential to still be a great quarterback. He's not there right now, though, and I don't think he'll be there this season. What's up with the Raiders hat? I knew some people were going to get me. I'm sorry, Detroit. I'm sorry, Michigan. I am a Raiders fan. It's only one nation, Raider Nation. I apologize in advance. I'm late. Wait, is Ryan Day's brother seriously leading this investigation? This is worse than Urban Meyer having Ohio State alum ref the 2016 game. Yeah, so this is something that we were going to get into, but I guess I'll get into it now. Let's start here. Rumors of U of M rescinding Jim's contract. Wall Street Journal, of course, uh, had an article today, released a report saying that the brass at the University of Michigan rescinded a possible extension for Jim Harbaugh that would have made him the highest paid highest paid coach in the Big Ten. Jim Harbaugh had a press conference today where he said that was inaccurate. If I want to quote him, that was inaccurate. So there's that. But if you're a Michigan fan, we already know that 10 days ago, a report came out that said the contract was on hold. So if that's, now they want to reword it to say rescinded, be my guest. We understood that this thing was on hold because of everything that's going on, and I'm not mad at that. Whatever. I do think that they need to pay Jim. I will say that. I do think they need to pay Jim as soon as possible. Um, by the way, let me stop right now. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button. Let's get this thing out there. We have 86 people in the live. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming through. We only have 21 likes. Come on, let's get the likes up. Get those likes up. Make sure you drop a comment. I'm trying to get to everybody's comment in my comment section today. We're going to talk about it. But back to what I was saying. The Wall Street Journal's article came out today. That's what Ryan was referring to when he said that the Wall Street Journal was a respectable publication. They are. However, they have it wrong. Or they purposefully, and this is possible too, they purposefully worded it the way that they worded it to make it seem a bigger story than it really is. Let's be honest. You mentioned Michigan in today's media, and you're guaranteed some clicks. I will even be honest about that. You mentioned Michigan, and you are guaranteed some clicks. Somebody's going to read it, somebody's going to watch it, somebody's going to listen to it. That's just what it is right now, because of everything that is transpiring with Michigan. So, got to be honest about that. Jim Harbaugh obviously had the presser responded to the Wall Street Journal. He was asked about that article, and he said exactly what I told you. He said that it was inaccurate. So there is that. I think that we have uh, enough sense to understand Michigan's position here. But as fans, we also understand that having Jim locked up for the future is a big deal. And that needs to happen without a doubt. Let me get back to some of your comments here. Hoodwinked for clicks, likes, and comments. Yeah, basically, that's exactly what's going on these days. Bucknuts, unbelievable. This is why we attempt to ignore you. Not 20 years of hardcore OH cheating. Teams are NIL bought and paid for, back to the family reunion, speed dating. The Buckeyes are having a field day with this. I was in a Buckeye live earlier today. I'm sorry, a space earlier today, and they were just keying, having a good old time about Michigan's downfall. And I get it. You dominate for a decade plus. You feel like, it's your birthright, really. Some of these people didn't even know what it was like to lose to Michigan until 2021, right? So I understand it from that perspective. However, reality is reality. Jim Harbaugh just has figured out a system. He's got his system in place. He's got the coaches in place, and they are just better than the other state. Maybe not in a skill for skill competition across the board, but certainly the skill isn't so out of reach that their execution can't make up for it. And that's exactly what's happening. Michigan's execution is the difference in these last two dominant wins, by the way, by the University of Michigan over the other state. So there's that. It must be tough for the other state. Let me give you a word of wisdom. It's not having cupcakes as you how you eat them. I like it. No doubt. And I think a lot of people have gotten it misconstrued. A lot of people have seen Michigan's schedule. They've had a lot to say about that. To some degree, I understand it. But let's be honest, man. This thing has become a popularity contest, right? Teams, because there are a lot of teams right now that are undefeated or look good, whatever. But if you're not on people's tongues, pause, by the way, if you're not on the tip of people's tongues, then, it doesn't really matter. Georgia worked their way up. They deserve to be the number one team if they are, by the way, tomorrow. The AP still has them as the number one team. I on my uh Triple M top 25 have them replacing Michigan as the number one team this week because Michigan was idle. Much the same reason why I had Michigan replacing them last week. They were idle and Michigan had a dominant win. Michigan was idle. Georgia had a dominant win. By the way, Michigan fans, prepare yourself. I probably won't be jumping Georgia for Michigan in the going forward in my top 25 because Georgia is the two-time defending champion. They've deserved that position unless they lose, of course, or unless Michigan does something extraordinary to Penn State, the other state, and they look pedestrian. So I want to give that disclaimer now. So prepare yourselves. That being said, let's move on. Big Ten Week in Review, I already went over that. The Maize Madman top 25. Let's get to this because I did a top 25. I've been doing top 25 now every week. It's been going pretty well. People are liking it, so I'll continue to do it. Obviously, it's a conversation starter too on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter at Maize Madman, then I try to interact with as many people as I can on Twitter. So if you hit me up, I definitely will respond. But let's get to this list really quickly if I can find it here. I know I placed it in a couple different places. Here we go. All right. So the Maize Madman top 25 looks like this. And now I can't get my screen share. That's beautiful. I love when a plan comes together, Here we go. Number one, as you can see, I have Georgia. They replaced Michigan. Michigan at number two, the other state, and Florida State round out my top four. So if the playoff started for me today, this would be how it would look. The first one out is Washington, who after beating Oregon has looked a little shaky. Oregon looked very impressive this weekend, beating Utah. Texas has been pretty steady. Other than that, what a terrible spot that was a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry. A couple weeks ago, Texas got a gift from the referee gods with a spot against Houston that didn't give Houston a first down or gave them a first down. Either way, it was a horrible spot and they benefited from it. If not, they probably would have lost again. Then Alabama, Penn State, and Ole Miss round out my top 10. I have Notre Dame ahead of LSU, even though I really didn't want to, but Notre Dame did beat the brakes off of Pitt, and they look good doing it. So there's that. Let me know in the comment section what you think, what you would have changed. I'm not going to go all the way through it, but absolutely. We got the best defense in the country by far, by the way. Michigan is allowing less than 6 points per game. Let that sink in. By the way, the other state and Penn State don't have bad defenses as they are ranked second and third in total points in terms of defense. They are allowing 10 points and like a little less than 11 points, I believe, respectively. So they have decent defenses, but they haven't played Michigan either. So there's that. I expect Michigan to put 30 plus on both of those teams. To me, if you play a top ranked team and beat them, you should get instant credit, but they don't do that. So why put hard teams on your schedule? Yeah, man, I get that too. But we have to remember that especially the non-con. These things are done years in advance. It's not like last year Michigan was like, "Oh, I want to play UNLV, Bowling Green, and um, East Carolina." Right? That was done years ago, and this is just what came of it. Who knew that they would be as bad as they were, or whatever? Although UNLV doesn't look completely trash. Bowling Green did beat Georgia Tech, who has a couple big wins, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move on. Whoever believes the media are the same ones who believe in the government. Hey, he ain't lying, but I don't want to get too political on him. Trusper, I guess they will start carrying. Okay, that's not for me. It's amazing the coverage Jim in Michigan is getting when a certain school had over 100 violations. I didn't see all the press this is received. Yeah, this is true, man. Michigan, I do believe that the attention that Michigan is getting is undeserved to a point. Look, another prominent college football coach. Now, granted, it is not Chip Kelly, but Brian Kelly came out and defended Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, saying that basically teams have been asking to do this and they want to do what Michigan is being accused of doing. Everybody wants that. And by the way, he said people are doing it. You know what I mean? But it's just that Michigan is the team that got caught, if you will. So there's that. I have a couple questions though that I want to get to, and shout out to my guy Dom. I don't know if he's in here, but he some of these we just thought alike, but he was a big part of these questions. Who is the private investigator firm? Who's the private firm that is investigating Michigan? Now, there are rumors, some of them substantiated, that Ryan Day's brother Chris Day has a investigation firm. There have even been screenshots floating around the internet that it is indeed his New Hampshire based firm that is investigating Michigan. If that is the case, right, why is he investigating? Why is that firm investigating Michigan? Who hired them? Another important question. The 6 degrees of separation here are way too ironic for it to be that this was somebody else, not Ryan Day, that initiated this investigation. But I'm not going to accuse them of anything either, although it looks bad. So these are questions that need answer. Who hired this firm? Who is this firm? Why are they investigating the Wolverines? What were they asked to investigate? What is it? What is it that they were asked to investigate? Was it the sign stealing? Or was it something else? We do know that Michigan fired an assistant coach in the offseason, Matt Weiss, for computer crimes. That's what we know. We do know the FBI has gotten involved with the Matt Weiss computer crimes investigation. Was this firm hired for part of that investigation and found something else? We have no clue, but the questions need answers. And then finally, how did they gain access to Michigan IP, etc., without permission? And by the way, because they gained access to Michigan IP, etc., without permission, is this information able to be used? Should it be able to be used against Michigan in the NCAA's investigation? Real questions that need answers. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section. Ohio State ain't having issues with cupcakes. That's disrespectful to Notre Dame. Look, this is what it's all about for this guy. Penn State and Wisconsin. OSU blew out Indiana. They didn't. So Ryan, here's what I don't like about Ryan's narratives. Ryan will swear down, he will argue me down that Michigan struggled with Bowling Green in the first half when they really didn't. Michigan was always dominating that game. However, if you are going to sit here and say that the other state was handling Indiana at any point in that game, really, Of course, the score is what it is because Indiana can't score the football or couldn't score the football. But the hypocrisy here, that's crazy. Anyway, uh, can't say that. If you can tell me what rule they broke, then I can tell you possibly what kind of trouble Michigan will be in. The Bucknuts didn't blow out Indiana. Your memory is off. Clearly, it's off, but whatever. The thing is, he needs to prop up, and I don't even know what you want to prop up Notre Dame's resume for at this point. It's not like they're going to the college football playoff. Like, what is the point? They should just worry about winning the rest of their games, make it to a nice bowl game, and see what happens. I don't know. Plot twist: Kate McNamara is the real corporate that kept people off about the whole Michigan scandal. Him and Eric are indefinitely, and it definitely would not surprise. That's hilarious. We got a super chat from my guy Dom. Love you, M3. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. He's talking to you guys. Talking to you. You right there who hasn't hit that like button and shared this live. He's talking to you. Do it. Where's the subpoena? Right, exactly. There's no subpoena. We all know the NCAA, by the way, doesn't have subpoena power. So what's going on? 21-3. Yeah, I mean, that was the score. Domination. Antoine, agree. This isn't for me. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about that? Those are real questions that need real answers. We need to know. Heisman list. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys. This is going to be very short. J.J. McCarthy. That's it. I'm not joking. J.J. McCarthy for Heisman. It's straightforward. That is it. Marvin Harrison Jr. can make a push here. He's been making a push here, and I think it'll come down to the game, but we all know who's going to win that. And in the end, J.J. McCarthy in New York getting the 4th Heisman Trophy for the University of Michigan. Shout out to Harmon, Dez, and Charles. But JJ is the next Heisman Trophy winning Wolverine. Bottom line. If you disagree, then you just don't know. JJ McCarthy doesn't have the yards. He doesn't have the completions, but he does have the completion percentage. He does have the QBR. He's up there in touchdowns. He's got it all. All right. The problem is he's thrown 4, count them, 4 fourth quarter passes through 8 games. That's less than 1 pass per game in the 4th quarter. And it's not because Michigan is just, afraid for him to throw it in the 4th quarter. It's because those games are out of hand. The games are over, and JJ McCarthy doesn't need to be on the field. He's not on the field in the 4th quarter. Give that man the Heisman. Otherwise, his numbers would look like some of these other guys. If JJ McCarthy was playing entire games, if somebody could force Michigan to play an entire game, by the way, and I know a lot of people are going to get on this schedule again, but let's be honest about the schedule. Michigan has now played more Big Ten teams than other teams. So if you want to get on it, get on these Big Ten, get on the Big Ten. We didn't make the schedule. Michigan didn't go out and handpick their conference schedule. This is what the powers that be did for Michigan. And unfortunately, for whoever plays Michigan this year, it's a blowout. Bottom line. Because they cheated. I'm sorry. That's how I imagine James Gregory said that too. Because they cheated. No, James. No. It's because they're better. Away from beating character limits. Nebraska and Minnesota have a chance at the West. I agree with that. 100%. I think Minnesota might even be the class of the West. Who knows? But Minnesota lost to Nebraska. No, Minnesota beat Nebraska, right? I don't know. What happens in the West happens in the West. Who knows? If you win by 20, Sly, that's a blowout. Oh my God, this guy. Brian Kelly is a trash coach. Nobody cares about his opinion. This is a weird thing for you to say. I want to be honest with you. This guy again is a Notre Dame fan. Let me run down the reasons why this is weird. Brian Kelly, since 1987, the only coach in Notre Dame to get that team to a national championship. Granted, in that national championship, they were destroyed by Alabama, but they got there. Secondly, got them into two college football playoffs. Count them, two college football playoffs. Nobody else has done it. You keep making excuses for Marcus Freeman from my hometown of Dayton, Ohio. By the way, I like Marcus. He did go to the other state, though. I bring this up every time we count to 11. You cannot cherry pick the things that you like about anything without the entire picture here. Brian Kelly's the best coach you've had in modern history, outside of Lou Holtz. Bottom line. Marcus Freeman ain't on no hot seat. He should be. Let's be honest. Marcus Freeman had a chance to. Who's to say he didn't? Speaking of espionage, who's to say he didn't put 10 players out there on purpose against his alma mater, doing his buddy a favor, doing Brian Hartline a favor, put 10 players out there against his alma mater. By the way, if you want to talk about scandal, how salacious would that be? Brian Marcus Freeman then went out and gave up the church's money to Louisville. By the way, last year, let's talk about what he did last year. Losses to Marshall, losses to Stanford, who at that time hadn't beat Power Five or FBS, like 1A school in like 2 years or something like that. Crazy. Needed a referee stimulus package to get past Cal. Let's not forget that. And they lost to someone else. USC blew the doors off of you guys last year. So I'm failing to understand the greatness of Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman can be a great coach. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to disrespect Marcus Freeman. However, in a comparison of he and Brian Kelly, it is not close. Brian Kelly is the much more accomplished coach. Last year when Michigan beat PSU, the narrative changed how PSU weren't good anymore. Before the game, they were so great. Michigan was on upset alert. Yeah. PSU always has a storyline. People want to see Penn State do well, apparently. Um, I'm not against them doing well, just not against Michigan, whatever. I would appreciate if they could do something against the other state other than fold in clutch time. That's what they seem to be good at. By the way, let's take this time. Make sure you hit that like and share button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. 107 people. I appreciate each and every one of you. Let me also remind you, the good folks over at Autograph Fan Rewards have teamed with this guy to bring you, the fans, something special. If you go download that in the iPhone or the Apple App Store, then you use my code Madman and reap the rewards. There is going to be a ranking system, fan rankings. There's also channel rankings. So if you see Maize Madman in there, you'll see me ranked against other channels and other publications and things like that. So be sure to check that out. It helps me. It helps you. Ryan Day or Crying Day. I'm sure that's what that means. Badly Franklin, Stinking Lincoln, all on the hot seat. What to make excuses? I think Lincoln Riley is out of here after this season, especially if Caleb Williams leaves. Lincoln Riley is a joke of a head coach who is overhyped. That's it. 2028 will mark the 40th anniversary of the title won by Notre Dame. They gotta go in the basement and blow the dust off that thing. Basically, what he's saying. Opinions are like, hey, yep, schedules, yep, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, Michigan destroying their conference. Hate us because you ain't us. Basically, that's really what it comes down to. I love you, Triple M Hell. Shout out to you, Paul. Go Blue. Man, this signal stealing has to be fake. They signed, brought 10 tickets to Nebraska games. Why? It's not 95. Doesn't it? Yeah, shout out to Dexter. Right. What are you going to the Nebraska game for? We don't need to scout Nebraska. We don't need to scout Indiana, Rutgers. Uh, Shout out to Rutgers, who is, you know, they look like a respectable team this year. I believe they're a top 10 defense this year. So shout out to them. Let's go Big Blue for sure. Michigan will go 9-3 when they have to actually play a tough schedule. Man, I don't understand where all this vitriol is coming from, by the way. This is a guy who at the beginning of the season says he doesn't even hate Michigan. But as this season has drug on and Michigan has been successful, talk about a hater. Somehow this guy is now rooting for the team that's walked into South Bend and beat them last year, beat them in Columbus. And by the way, Notre Dame hasn't beat this team since like one of the world wars, and now he's their biggest fan. Ryan, this is shameful, and you should be ashamed of yourself. It's disgusting. I don't care who's played because of proper historical data. Says so. Pretty much, I agree with this statement, 1000%. Big said, "You clown, pray on your downfall." Yep. Yep, pretty much. If you don't know what he's talking about, he's referring to the late great Christopher Wallace. Pray on your downfall. If you haven't heard that song, Life After Death, this too, by the way, be sure to check that out. Comes on right before Last Kiss Goodnight, which, if you're the other state, get ready. As we kiss, anyway, not even gonna get into that. Phil, let me give you the only stat I care about. Record versus top 10 teams. Blah, blah, blah. Well, Freeman is 2-2, which is more wins versus top 10 than BK had in 10 years at Notre Dame. By the way, Ryan, Freeman is doing that with BK players. Now, granted, some of these guys are Marcus Freeman guys, but if you look at the starters on Notre Dame right now, the percentage of Brian Kelly players to Marcus Freeman players, it's more Brian Kelly players, right? When will they learn? Don't you love when Ohio State was on top of the world, got all the credit for the wins in the Big Ten, but now Michigan is on top. We can't get that same credit. It's disgusting, really. It's sad. It's disgusting. It's all of those things. But again, all the talk that they've done, all of that is going to matter none because they have to see us on November 25th. And on November 25th, there's no more talking. Antoine, OSU got credit because they beat ranked MSU, PSU, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, a lot of those years. All right, bro. I'm not even gonna I'm gonna move on because we gotta move on. I've entertained Ryan's foolishness because that's foolery, by the way. When you're the first team since 1926 to score 30 or more while allowing 10 or less, and you won all 7 of your games, and you can talk to me. That's how I feel balling. You tell them. That's how we feel. Ryan has said all of the things except for why he's now holding Buckeye pom-poms. What's the reason for that, Ryan? What's the reason? Get out of here. BK's team, he was left with Phil. He beat Clemson in South Carolina. Great. McCord equals Oh man, I don't get it either. Cool song. Why this turned into Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard? The amount of media attention over nothing. There's only one purpose. Exactly. And that's to distract you. That's to distract the fans. That's to distract everyone from the real the story. I think what the problem is, they need some storylines, because if the storyline was just Michigan is kicking in the teeth of everyone, that's not much of a storyline. People changing the channel for that. Every time they see that block M, they just know that their team is going to get their teeth kicked in. What am I watching this for? Crazy. I don't feel bad for Purdue. I feel bad for. Oh, I don't feel bad for them. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Purdue is going to get what, it's probably not meant for them. However, you're next on the schedule. How long do you think the investigation will take? I think this investigation runs all the way through this season. There may be some resolution in the off season, if I'm being honest. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone. Hold on. Let me get to these. Did you win all your games by 24 or more? Betting favorites win the natty. Is your defense allowing less than 6 points? I thought not. So per the rock bylaw. Whoop. Man, Ballin is on one today. Y'all gotta leave him alone today. Ryan crying. Gonna hire another private group to investigate another before he gets. Yeah. Ryan Day, we all know, was born on third base. He's my favorite. He's my favorite baseball player, by the way. Um, he was left with the jewels that Urban Meyer, you know, left him, and he's found a way to make lemons out of lemonade. He has found a way to evaporate the lemonade, and all he's got left is pulp. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about the roster. The roster is the roster. I'm talking about um, what he's done since then. Which, by the way, he has gotten them to a college football playoff or two, right? Two college football playoffs. Um, he has beaten Michigan. He beat Michigan the first year. Remember, he threatened to drop 100 on us. That didn't happen. By the way, since that time, it has been all downhill for Ryan Day. Let's be honest. Ryan Day said what he said. Jim said what he said, and Jim continues to make the statements. Man, I go on these. Sorry, my go on these YouTube channels, and the sanctity is so thick you can cut it with a knife. Michigan is committed the worst offense in the history. Okay. I don't think Michigan has committed any offense. I'll stand for Big Blue forever. Ryan Day cannot build up a school or develop players. That's a fact. He recruits high level talent. It's not about development. And I know some people will point to Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the son of a legend, a Hall of Famer who could have who could pay for Marvin Harrison Jr. to get the adequate training the requisite training he needs to be who he is. Much gratitude for your hard work, M3. Hit the like button whether you like Michigan or not. If it weren't for M3's effort, where could we have this much fun? Shout out to you again, Dom. I appreciate it. I don't hate Michigan, but I think it's funny Michigan fans are trashing OSU for struggling versus top 10 teams or good teams. That OSU defense is elite. Man, this is so gross. Ryan has turned into like an Ohio State apologist. It's disgusting. It's gross, fam. By the way, we are Michigan fans. It is inherently our duty to shit on them. Why would we be sitting here blowing smoke up their ass? Who are they? We have no reason to like them. Get out of here. Michigan's making fun of Ohio State for struggling against top teams. Yeah, we making fun of them. You know why we're making fun of them? Because they said that this wouldn't be a struggle. They said they said, and I almost called him his real name. That's not his real name. Isn't his real name? They said Honda McCourt was better than C.J. Stroud. That's what they said. They said, do you remember the headlines from this offseason? By the way, you do remember them because me and you were laughing about how they were saying the other state's offense is going to be like the best offense of all time in college football, all these weapons. What have they done with them? The Honda Accord with 700,000 miles from 1987 and your uncle's garage with the dry rotted tires is the end result of all of that talk. I don't want to hear it. Marv Harrison went to the NFL. OSU would be 500. Absolutely. I stand by the way, even in the game that you tried to say that Marvin Harrison was shut down in against Notre Dame, which I'm going to give that dude some credit. He played well against Marvin Harrison Jr. However, even in that game, the attention that Marvin Harrison Jr. was getting is what allowed people like Emeka Buka to be open on that final drive and throughout that game. The block that he gave is what allowed Henderson to spring down the sideline. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the Ohio State offense at this point. Without him, they would be in a world of trouble. Michigan looked more like Ohio State than Ohio State looked like Ohio. Pretty much, man. It's gross, bro. It's gross, this defending of them. Ironic Michigan fans want to speak on struggling against good comp when they haven't faced good comp. This is incredible. Incredible, man. Nobody gets on here. I think that's the problem, though. I think nobody's talking about Notre Dame. So he's got to come on to into spaces like this, try to downplay what Michigan is. Like a blind man. Stevie Wonder can see that Michigan is dominant and the most dominant team in college football. Stevie can see it. And you want us to show some respect to the other state. Kick rocks. Kick the biggest rock you can find. Break the fourth metatarsal in your foot while kicking that large rock. That's ridiculous. Remember when they used to tease Jim about 3 yard in a cloud of dust? What are they? Exactly. Marvin Harrison Jr. is Ohio State. Outpitched Joe Klatt. Well, he clearly is. Just because you haven't played a good team doesn't mean you're good. OSU find out how damn good we are soon. Okay. Absolutely. OSU will find out how good Michigan is. Ohio's best game was Notre Dame. They dropped 2 to teams they shouldn't. Absolutely. Notre Dame went out and lost to Louisville, and Ryan wants us to be nice to the other state. Be nice to them. MC Search will suffer his 3rd straight ass. Hey, yo, Ryan Day does look like MC Search. That's a good one. That's hilarious. McCourt's so bad, the other team has to run Harrison through a 20-man screen across the field to score. Thank you. And by the way, Dexter brings up a good point, and I hope that Michigan is watching. I hope they got, all the espionage, spy apparatus out, because the last couple of weeks, the other state has run this play. It's a shallow cross for Marvin Harrison, where he basically goes across the entire field and, catches a ball that he then turns into a touchdown after the fact. but they do get some adequate blocking ahead of him. So Michigan should be wary of that play. Be aware of that play. Michigan dispatches bad team by the half. OSU struggles with bum team like Wisconsin for 4 quarters. Right, right. Harbaugh during the headlights look never answered big three, hiring Mel and Jim goodbye. I don't know what you were trying to say, but it sounded anti-Michigan, and we don't do anti-Michigan here. Trust me, they've seen that high school play. Yeah, I believe that too. Phil OSU has yes, Michigan derangement syndrome. Their feelings. Absolutely. What are we talking about, man? Be nice to them. They're playing real teams. Okay. Go Blue, they hate us because they ain't us. For sure. McCord can barely throw a pass longer than 20 yards. The Honda McCord is down bad, man. Down bad. Notre Dame needs to start free math classes for their coaches. After that, they can worry about beating actual teams. Facts. Honda McCord. Go to Bucknuts, read the limitation scoutings. They agree Michigan hasn't broken any rules by the wording. I saw that. And that's very interesting. Shout out to that Buckeye fan who was actually impartial and broke that down. Very interesting read, by the way. If you haven't, go check that out on Bucknuts. Gotta go M3 OSU fans clamoring about sportsmanship. Hilarious. Buckeye Nation doesn't exist outside of Ohio. Pretty much, man. I gotta go too. On that note, shout out to all of you. Make sure you hit the like button, share the stream. Until next time, stay angry, my friend.